Hey there, welcome to Business Breakthroughs. I'm Neal DiPentino. I'm president of Titan Media Works and your host today on Business Breakthroughs. This is the podcast where we get no BS advice and direction from those people who've been in the trenches. You're going to love our guest today. He's from Canada, actually. I love when we get some folks from Canada, and a beautiful part of Canada as well. He helps successful business owners take back their time and freedom by growing their business while working fewer hours. And I'm very interested to find out how that all works and what that looks like. From Gibson, British Columbia, Canada, please welcome to the show my friend Jordan Tait. Hey, Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm great, Neal. Thanks for having me.
Man, I know that more than likely you'd prefer to be at the beach today than, sitting inside talking to a guy like me. But you got a lot of important things to talk about. So, you take a break from the beach and we're going to get into the nitty gritty about your business and how you help people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love talking about this all day, so I'll get to the beach later.
That sounds great. And it's funny is that when we were talking offline, I had no idea that there were actually nice beaches that you can go and hang out up in the Vancouver area, which Gibson's very close to Vancouver, as you were telling me and everything. But that sounds really cool. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Yeah, so I've always been very freedom oriented in my life. I've traveled all over the world, and for most of my 20s, my top priority was total control of my time and the freedom to travel wherever I wanted. And that dictated the types of career decisions I made, the businesses that I started, and the skills that I developed in my own life to help facilitate that. So good time management, good planning and organization, and then also being careful with my money and intentional about where I invest it. For me, it's all about having the best quality of life possible, not when I'm 40, 50, 60, but while I'm in my prime of my life in my 20s and 30s, and living the life I want to live today, and then that being facilitated by the business that I have and the way that it works.
I love that. When I was younger, I kind of had the same kind of goals and everything, but it was a different world back then. When you grow up, you're expected to go to work and, do your 40 hours plus a week. And, you do a job, you do the best you possibly can. And that was the most important thing. And everything else kind of fell behind that. It's kind of like you live to work as opposed to work to live, in some sense. But so I love what you're saying there. Now in my older age, I'm kind of thinking like, boy, I kind of messed up on that part, but I'm not going to mess up anymore. So I take the same kind of approach you do. It's like, how do we, create a great business? How do we make things rock and, provide, an income for our employees, but not just, work 24/7, enjoy life. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your business. Tell me about what you got, what you do there.
So I'm a business coach, and my business is called The Intentional Business, which I created it to help entrepreneurs escape the overwhelm and the grind and build a business that provides the lifestyle they want to have today instead of in the future. Because I've worked with hundreds of owners over my career in a lot of different roles, and I kept seeing the same thing happen again and again, where someone, early on when they start their business, they're leaving behind a job and they're saying, I'm going to have more control of my time. I'm going to have more freedom to travel. I'm going to spend more time with my family, and I'm going to do all these other things in my life because I'm going to be my own boss. And then just because of what it takes to actually get a business off the ground and build it up, eventually I say that they become a victim of their own success, and they get too busy to manage it all. And then their business starts running them, and all those dreams and all the reasons they started the business kind of get forgotten. And they're more into survival mode. How do I keep up with all the things that are on my plate all the time? So
Right.
that's the person that I help. And I'm really about helping people grow, but grow in a intentional way where they're not trading all their time. They're not working nights and weekends. They're actually enjoying the process along the way.
What an interesting concept that is, right? I mean, who of us wanted to start a business so that we could work 24/7, 365, never see our family, never do any of the hobbies that we enjoy? And a lot of times that's what it turns out to be.
Yeah, so it's never anyone's fault. They end up there. It's a natural process as the business grows. You kind of find yourself getting busier and busier. Oh, I'll just work one extra night this week to catch up, and then suddenly it's two, and it slowly evolves. But I really try to step in with people when they find themselves buried and stuck and trying to figure out, how do I get back to where I was or where I want to be without slowing down the business, without, pulling back too much. And where I really focus with them is how they manage their time and their money and their team, and so that they can get more done without it being all so dependent on them.
Right. So, what are some of the more common challenges that you find that are, I mean, things that are common amongst business owners that you're working with?
So a big piece is a lot of people are afraid of hiring or really struggle with the process of hiring and finding good support. And most small business owners have been burned before by rushing a hire, hiring maybe the wrong person, or hiring the right person and not giving them the support and the direction that they needed. And so a lot of people get burned and they have a bad experience, and then they're wary of bringing someone else in, because when you have a difficult employee experience, it only makes your job harder and it only takes more time versus saving you time. So I work a lot with people on that fear and teaching them the process of making hiring easier, and making sure you're bringing the right person so you don't have to go through that process again and again. And then secondly, once you actually have good people, it's learning to let go of things, learning to trust that other people can do them close to as well as you. And even if they can't do it the exact same level as you, the fact that you have someone else getting it done for you is part of the freedom of being the owner.
So, I hear you saying that, stepping aside, giving up, certain responsibilities, letting your staff actually do their job, that type of thing. We, I think, as human beings, have a tendency to be DIYers, right? We think we can do it ourselves. We think we could do it better than everybody else and everything. So we have a hard time handing those tasks off to somebody else. How do you convince a business owner that that's the proper, way, the proper approach?
Well, I'm a DIYer myself, and I understand the process because, like I said, when you start your business, you do have to kind of do everything yourself to get it off the ground. And so you keep doing that and you get used to that process. And then eventually, when you have enough success, you find yourself doing too many things and you don't have enough time.
Right.
So I really try to teach business owners that the most valuable resource you have in your business is your time as the owner. And the bigger you grow, the more every hour is worth. And when you start to look at your calendar, one of the first exercises I do with people is a calendar audit. And we look at their calendar and say, what's the value of all these different activities? Some of them are admin, some of them are worth $25 an hour. Others are sales, maybe worth a couple $1,000s an hour. But when you look at your calendar in that way, you start to immediately see, oh, I'm wasting 10 hours a week on things that are actually holding me back from doing the more valuable activities. So that's part of helping someone break free from that. And then second is recognizing that you're not good enough at all the things you're trying to do. And I'm saying this from my own experience. Like, there's things I love doing in my business and there's things that I hate doing. And if I spend too much of my time on the things that I hate and that I'm not very good at, it's really inefficient and it's really draining. So part of freedom in my mind is also enjoying your work, enjoying the process more. And
Right.
in both cases, you need to hire out support or delegate those things that are draining you, holding you back, or not adding the same value of the big things that you can do.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's interesting. I was sat in on a breakout session at a conference I was at last week, and I wish I could specifically quote the person who was talking, but he said something like this: "It's like if you're a business owner and you're the most expensive employee at your business and you're taking time to do mundane tasks as opposed to handing them off to somebody who maybe makes less than what you do, then in essence you're kind of stealing from your own business in some sense. Would you agree with that statement?"
Absolutely. A great exercise I like to do is with business owners who are kind of in that place is figure out what's your current income on a monthly basis and divide it by the number of hours you're actually working in a month. And if you're working 70, 80 hours a month, your actual real hourly rate is usually pretty low, lower than you thought it was.
Yeah.
And so then we look at, what would your ideal be? How many hours would you actually like to be working in a week? And what would you actually like to be earning in a month? And when you figure out that number, you've got your current versus your ideal. then we start talking about how do you make decisions based on your ideal hourly rate. If your time is worth 150, $500 an hour or more, what decisions are you making today that are preventing you from getting there?
I like that approach because you think about most business owners, well, not all business, I think all business owners, we get into business so that we can make a profit, right? It all is about revenue, driving revenue, and keeping more than you give away, right? Making a profit and everything. So if you put it in monetary terms like that, I think a lot of business owners can really understand that. Look at you are stealing from your business, or if not stealing, you're costing your business money because you could be doing more important things with your time that you're not doing because you're you know messing around at the copy machine or whatever the case might be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and it comes from like going into owning a business with the employee mindset of the only way to get more out is to put more in terms of hours. But eventually you get to a point where you have no more hours to give. And then it's about making that shift to the owner mindset where you can buy back your time and you can make other people's hours work for you and help grow the business with you. And that's a big shift. And a lot of people get stuck there. But once you recognize that, it's very liberating because then you get to design your ideal role. You get to say, I'm only going to focus on the things I enjoy the most or I'm the best at. And I'm going to let go of the rest and put them in the hands of someone who actually enjoys doing those things, like the
Right.
social media, the bookkeeping, the admin. And then we can really start to take off.
Right, right. And going back to the DIY kind of thing, you had mentioned that hiring people or working with people that have maybe more experience than you might have doing certain tasks. I think I'm a graphic artist, but everything comes out looking like stick figures. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So as much as I enjoy the process of like doing it, I can't do it efficiently. I can't do it quickly. I can't get the same kind of results I would get by hiring somebody else to do that. And so, I mean, how do you get around that with your clients when they're like so, intent on doing it on their own? How do you explain to them, other than the monetary thing, that it's really important that they hire the right people for the right reason?
so I'm really lifestyle oriented. That's how I've built my business, and that's how I make a lot of decisions. It's usually lifestyle first and business second. And so when I'm working with someone who's in a place of overwork or they're grinding and they recognize this isn't why I started my business and something needs to change, we talk about what's the lifestyle that you're sacrificing because you can't let go of these things. What's the type of life that you could have if you were willing to say, okay, I'm not going to be the web designer anymore. I'm not going to do my own bookkeeping anymore. I'm going to let go of some of those things. And usually that's like a big piece of the puzzle is breaking free from, you don't have to do it all yourself. And when you let go of doing it all yourself, there's a much better life on the other side of it.
That makes a lot of sense. I remember my wife and I were doing some remodeling at our house, and so we bought some flooring at one of the big box stores. And the guy who sold us the flooring said, "Look, at this is just like so easy that anybody can do it, and you can save yourself a ton of money by doing it on your own." Right. So we bought some flooring. We did one small room. It's like a 14 by 14 room, smallest room in our house, and it took us like 3 days to do. So we we ended up hiring somebody to do it. In those same 3 hours, they had our entire old floor stripped up and had half of the new floor down. And by like they came in at 8 o'clock, by 3 o'clock they were gone. So and it looked really great, right? So it made me think about like I'm going to do this from now on because those 3 days that it took for me to get that one little part to finish it out, it would have taken me weeks and weeks and weeks. What else could I have done with that time? A lot, right?
Totally. And we often think that it's just faster if I do it myself. Like, oh,
Yeah,
it would take me so long to find the right support and then teach them what I want them to do and get them to do it. But
right.
it's never been easier. There's Upwork, there's all these different databases of remote workers and contractors. So you don't even need to hire full-time employees anymore if you're not at that level or if you're looking for very specific help. And now that we have a global economy with remote workers from all over the world, you can also get a lot of things done really well at a fraction of the cost.
Right.
So that breaking the mentality that it's faster if I do it myself. You have a great example there where you actually got to test both sides. Most people just keep doing it all themselves and not realizing how much slower and more difficult it is because of that.
Right. If I'd have done it myself, we wouldn't have had time to do this podcast today. And we started 2 years ago. So, so in working with your clients, when you address a new client and everything, and you're kind of going through your process, can you kind of walk through maybe what that conversation might look like?
Sure, like upfront when they come into me and we're trying to figure out what's the right approach for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually people reach out to me because I post a lot of content on LinkedIn and I talk about the type of life that most people want to live and that is possible when you make these changes. So people reach out and they say, okay, I've finally recognized I can't keep doing this. Something has happened. Either they have a health scare, maybe their partner in their relationship has told them this isn't gonna work if you keep working like this, or they just recognize that their path to burnout is shortening. So they reach out and we really focus in immediately on how do we get you back 10 or 20 hours or more a week so you can start to breathe and catch your breath and start to think more clearly about this and strategy. And then from there, I really look at growth strategy. What are the 2 or 3 things that are going to make the biggest impact on moving you forwards? And let go of the other 10 things that you were trying to do that weren't adding value, getting you anywhere. So that's a really quick way to buy back some time, still unlock a lot of growth often. And then it's about slowly creating that ideal role for themselves and letting go of the pieces along the way.
Great. So can you give us maybe some examples of some of the clients that you've worked with and where you've used your process and kind of what the results have been?
So my clients are primarily service business owners. So in a wide range of industries, I've worked with trades businesses, marketing consultants, and coaches, and bookkeepers, and all different professionals that basically built a business trading their time and expertise for money. And often, what happens when they come to me is they've hit a plateau. They're maxed out on their hours, but the business has stopped growing. And when we look at what they're doing, it's because they're still either too heavily involved in the service delivery or they're too heavily involved in the admin and the basic operations of the business. And so it's stalled around their time. And a great example recently would be a client. She's a marketing consultant and has a pet service business. She came in, she was working 7 days a week and she couldn't keep going. So we looked at her calendar and realized, oh, you're still doing a lot of the basic stuff in your pet business, and those hours are only worth $25 an hour every hour you put in. So even if you put in 60 hours a week, you're not getting that far. Whereas in her marketing consulting business, her time is worth 150 an hour.
Hmm.
And so it was a very simple shift to say, if you let go of these 40 hours to an employee and you put them back into your marketing business, you're going to earn way more money and you're going to be able to work way less time. And by making that shift, she bought back her nights, her weekends. She finally went on a vacation after not doing that for a few years. And now she's got a whole new path of focusing on her highest value output and then outsourcing the rest.
So really, sometimes, I mean, it's not just like major overhaul type thing. It's really just shifting some things around that make more sense from a time standpoint and even a profit and loss standpoint.
I'm all about simplicity and doing the least things we possibly can to make your business work better. And I've
Right.
got other clients where the simplest difference was we started tracking their cash flow every single day. They started seeing where their money was going. And then they started recognizing the actions I'm taking aren't helping my cash flow. So they started changing around that. And just that alone, over a few years, their business has doubled or tripled. Their profits are up. And we didn't like break everything apart. It's just often I focus on the simple habits that really make growth easier and more sustainable.
I like that. I think a lot of business owners have the tools available at their fingertips. They either just don't realize they have them or they don't know how to use them. And that's where a coach like yourself comes in. Sometimes just having someone from the outside come in and provide advice and direction, that type of thing really helps. That's where you come in.
Exactly. And because I've seen so many businesses as a coach and a consultant, and I was a CEO for a while, I know the ins and outs of the businesses. And so I can very quickly, pop my head in and say, okay, this thing's not working. have you ever thought about this thing? And if you swapped the time from the thing that's not working into the strategy that's more effective, you're not working any harder. Honestly, you're usually working less, because most
Right.
business owners don't. The problem isn't that they don't want to work hard. It's not a lack of effort. It's more of a lack of strategy and clarity on what are the things that are really going to move the needle. And
Absolutely.
a lot of small business owners that I work with, they don't have the training and the years of experience. They haven't read all the books because they're so busy. So they're just pushing through with sheer will versus with strategy and what's the correct next step and what's the fastest way to do this.
Right. Right. Hey, let me ask you: Are you so your business? Are you exclusively in Canada, or do you come into the states, other countries?
Yeah, I have clients all over North America. Most of my clients are in Canada right now, but I've worked with people all across the US. Many franchise systems. That was one of my specialties as a consultant for years, was
Ah,
going into franchisors, coaching the franchisor on how to grow, and then all the franchisees as well. So
right.
I've worked in businesses at all scales. Where I'm currently helping people the most is when they're below a million and they're trying to break through, but they can't figure out how to because of their time limitations. And often, again, it's just some of these simple changes, like swap the time around, hire one key person to support you, implement a new system, helps them double their business within a year while working significantly less hours.
Fantastic. Hey, listen, we're getting close to the end of our time together. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with?
To me, the biggest thing I think about all the time is that today is the richest I'll ever be in time. Today is the most time I'll ever have to live the rest of my life. And I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they think that I'll have the time to live my ideal life and enjoy my freedom when I'm older, when I've earned it, when I've got the money or the business or whatever it is. And my philosophy in life has always been, you can enjoy your life fully today if you make it a priority and you make decisions that put your life ahead of just working every single day.
I love that. I think that I love your demeanor. I love you seem like a very calm guy, guy that really knows what he's doing. I would love to work with. I'm sure a lot of our audience people would like to find out more how they can work with you. How do they get in touch?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Neil. It's been great chatting with you. Best place is LinkedIn under Jordan Tait. I post content on there every day, and I'm always just sharing what I'm learning in my coaching sessions and what I'm learning in my own life that's working. And then I also have a website if people want to check that out. It's www.theintentionalbusiness.ca, and you can find out a bit more about me there.
Great. And all that information will be in our show notes as well. Hey, Jordan, thank you very much for being a guest on our show. You were wonderful.
Thanks so much. That was awesome.
Awesome. Hey, thank you all for being with us today. That is our show for today. Hey, give us a like. And if you want to subscribe, hear more of our shows, you go to your provider and you could do so. Business Breakthroughs is sponsored by Titan Media Works. We provide podcasting, production, and guest services for those who want to be in the podcasting space. You can find us at titanmediaworks.com. That's work spelled WORX. And check out all the other great hosts at the Small Business Delivered Network at smallbusinessdelivered.com. Until next time, thanks a lot for joining us. Look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day. Bye bye.